All right, let's talk about the single most important part of any new product. Not the launch, not the design, the start. Now, forget the theory you read in a book. After more than a decade in the trenches at startups, designing products from scratch, I'm going to share what actually works when the clock is ticking and every dollar counts. This is the real playbook. So let's just start with a pretty harsh reality. 70%. That's how many new tech products fail. And you know what? It's almost never because the idea was bad. Nope. It's because right from day one, the metrics were wrong and the goals were fuzzy. I have seen this exact problem sink absolutely brilliant teams. It's a tragedy, and honestly, it's totally avoidable. And this quote from a designer at Meta just hits the nail on the head. See, misalignment, it isn't just a headache, it's expensive. It is literally burning cash and destroying your timeline. It is the silent killer of so many projects. So, let's talk about how we fight back. So, how do we dodge this bullet? Well, we stop treating the kickoff like some boring item to check off a list. We have to elevate it. We turn it into a strategic discovery phase. You see, this isn't about just scheduling another meeting. It's about building a rock-solid foundation for success before anyone writes a single line of code. And this is the big mindset shift. A strategic kickoff is not an admin task. It's a stress test. It's where you pit your assumptions against the cold, hard reality. It's the moment you build what I like to call a shared consciousness, where everyone on the team is wired to the exact same goal. That's what gets you through the tough spots later on.
Look, in my experience, a successful kickoff really just boils down to these three things. Three critical pillars. If you get these right, you create incredible momentum from the jump. You get them wrong, you're just building chaos. So let's break down that first one. Pillar one, and honestly, it's the one most people skip, is getting ruthless absolute clarity on the why. I've seen so many smart, talented teams fall flat right here. They jump straight into brainstorming features and solutions before they've even really understood the core problem they're supposed to be solving.
And here is that shift in action. See, a feature is just a how. The problem is the why. When your goal is laser-focused on the problem, it becomes a powerful filter for every single decision you make down the line. It anchors everyone, engineers, marketers, you name it, on the actual value you're creating for your customer. Now, this means you gotta do your homework, and I don't just mean collecting a bunch of links to old research docs. I mean really digging in, analyzing the data, and most importantly, synthesizing the learnings. You need to understand the story, the why behind why something worked or why it failed. That is where the gold is buried. Okay, so once that why is crystal clear, then and only then can you move on to aligning the who and the what. This part is all about killing ambiguity and creating that shared brain for the project. A simple RACI chart like this? Oh man, it's a lifesaver. It makes it perfectly clear who's responsible for doing the work, who's accountable for the final outcome, who needs to be consulted for input, and who just needs to be kept informed. Trust me, when the pressure is on halfway through the project, this little chart prevents all the finger-pointing and chaos. Zero ambiguity. And the output of your kickoff should be a project brief. This becomes your single source of truth that anyone can go back to. It spells out the what, the when, and the how. And maybe most importantly, it defines what's out of scope. This prevents that dreaded scope creep that can absolutely destroy even the best laid plans. And that brings us to the third and final pillar. You absolutely have to agree, as a team, on what winning actually looks like. Because if you can't measure it, you can't manage it, and you for sure can't achieve it. This right here is the single most important question you can ask. And the answer cannot be some fluffy, subjective feeling. It has to be a number. It must be a specific metric you can point to and say, we moved this from X to Y, that is why we succeeded. End of story. And that number, that is your North Star metric. It's the one metric that, above all others, captures the core value you're delivering. And here's the magic. When your North Star metric goes up, it's the best sign that the whole business is getting healthier. It becomes your compass, forcing you to focus and making it so much easier to say no to all the distractions. But a quick word of warning here. You have to track a value metric, not a vanity metric. You know, app downloads might look great on a slide deck for investors, but they don't tell you if people are actually using your app. A metric like weekly learning moments for an education app, well, that tells you if you're actually delivering on your promise. And that is the huge difference between looking successful and being successful. So when you nail these three pillars, the why, the team, and the win, what you get isn't just a better plan. It's not a prettier document. It's velocity. It's a team that is energized, totally aligned, and ready to execute with incredible speed. And that's the real payoff. A great kickoff front loads all the hard, messy conversations about alignment. You hash it all out up front. That way, the execution phase is smooth, it's fast, and it's focused. You kick off once, really well, and then you just build. So as you get ready to plan your next product, I want you to ask yourself this question. Are you just scheduling another meeting, or are you designing the start of your momentum? Make it the moment that gives your team the clarity, the alignment, and the velocity it really needs to win. Thanks for watching.